All right, guys. Good morning. Good morning. It is Tuesday, October 1st. September is over, and September honestly wasn't that bad of a month. Like, it could have been worse. You know, typically we get like what's called the September slump where markets are red in September. You can see I got a black eye again. This is like my fifth black eye this year. Like, look at it. You see it? It's right there. You see the black eye? It's like my fifth black eye this year alone. Man, dude. Anyways, you can see the SPY green after Powell, man. It dipped originally when Powell was speaking and came all the way back up, had this big rebound here. Look at this big rebound. Went all the way back up. Now it's at basically 574s. Yeah, Supermicro did a stock split. I did see the Supermicro stock split announcement, so I did see that. Yeah. If you look at Supermicro Semiconductors, this gold's been moving up. Supermicro all the way down to $42. That's a 10-to-1 split. Yeah, 10-for-1 split. Yeah. So basically, if you don't know what a split is, splits happen whenever companies want to reduce their share price. Okay, so it's restructuring. And so a 10-to-1 split takes every one share and breaks it into 10 shares. And so an example of this, if you had 10 shares of Supermicro Semiconductor, if you had one share of Supermicro Semiconductors at $416, then you now have 10 shares at $41.5. So yeah, so basically Supermicro reduced their share size 10x. And if you had one share, you now have 10 shares. Restructuring. What's up, everybody? But yeah, you can see Supermicro. I don't know, I think there's Supermicro's doing this to try to like avoid volatility. They went all the way up to 1200. I know sometimes I'm wrong about this, in which I'm wrong about stocks that are weak and all this stuff. But before Supermicro started giving back these gains, right? When Supermicro was at like $600, people were asking me about it, and I told them the same thing, which is that like it's high risk, high reward, it's risky, it's up a lot. Very rarely, there was never a moment in time where I really wanted to buy Supermicro Semiconductors. And again, I know we might have some Supermicro holders here that get emotional if I say this, but Supermicro, just the float's too small. How big is the float anyway? Supermicro Semiconductors has a float size. It's got about 60 million in the float. About 60 million. That's a tiny float for a stock. Like, that's a small float. That's not a big float at all. Is Dell CEO selling his shares? I don't know. Yeah, we got the Jolts report today. It's the biggest report today. We also have ISM manufacturing PMI data. So ISM PMI and the Jolts report. All right, so Barclays says that Apple cutting iPhone 16 builds likely indicative of weak demand, and the firm checks indicate that orders have been cut for December quarter iPhones at a key supplier. I don't know how true this is, but this is from Barclays this morning. If we look at Apple here again, Supermicro did their float cut, or their split. Apple down to 230s. Where's Tesla at? Tesla has been going crazy, honestly. Tesla all the way to 263s. What big percentage move. right. All right, chat. Sorry. Sorry, I'm working on that with a. There we go. Okay. All right. Tesla went plaid, Apple slumping. Agree with you on your long-term thesis, but I day trade. You talking about day trading super micro? You had some investigations. Yeah, so they had the Hindenburg short report come out for them. That was pretty negative overall, you know. But man, guys, like yesterday at Jiu-Jitsu, it really was like. It was the worst I've ever seen anybody go out ever in my entire training of jiu-jitsu, which is now over a year, you know, like I've been training pretty regularly. It was the worst I've ever seen anybody go out. And again, I've gone out before on the exact same choke, but it was rough, bro. Like this dude, again, I'll tell the story again. Purple belt, I'm rolling with a purple belt, which is a much more experienced person than me. A purple belt generally has to have like, it takes years to get a blue belt, right? So in jiu-jitsu, you're a white belt for years. You know, it's not like karate where you get a new belt every 2 months. And so blue belts means you've essentially like gotten very, very, very good at it if you're a blue belt. It's not just like something given to you. So a purple belt is above that, right? So a purple belt has almost mastered it. You know, I've rolled with purple belts that feel like black belts, right? And so I'm rolling with this purple belt. You know, he's probably like a 40-year-old guy. I'm not going to say his name. He always comes in with his daughter. His daughter's like young. He comes in with his daughter, trains with his daughter. Nice, really nice guy. But anyway, so I'm rolling with him, you know, and he's doing okay, and like, but I get on top and take him down, and then I'm shooting for his collar, you know, a bow and arrow choke. You gotta like grab his collar like this and like pull it. It's hard to explain. And so, anyways, I catch him, I get him in a fully locked in bow and arrow choke. And like fully locked in, but it's not like going like for whatever reason he wasn't tapping, and so I'm sitting there like, what's going on? Like, why isn't, you know, like what's going on? And so I kind of put a little bit more oomph into it, and then I start to kind of hear like a snoring sound, like, you know, and I look at him and I could just kind of tell he was out, and so I immediately like get off of him. And he starts like drooling all over the floor. And I pick up his legs and I shake his legs, you know. And like the whole gym starts staring at it, man. It was just kind of like, it was kind of rough. I'm frustrated it didn't tap. You know, I'm venting to you guys. Y'all are like my therapists. He should have tapped, you know. Like I've never been out that bad. But man, just rough, man. Yeah, like just to put this into perspective, this is a bow and arrow choke. Now, this is not exactly when I got him in one. You know, so this is a different guy. JB, this is against a guy like a friend of mine called JB. And he's actually said I could post this. And so, but this is a bow and arrow choke. And this is me. But a bow and arrow choke, they're like, if it's fully locked in, you ain't getting out. Like this is one right here. That is a bow and arrow choke, you know. So like if it's fully locked in, like once I cross my legs here, like you're not getting out, you know. And burst Department of Justice, Apple 140. Yeah, Apple, again, people are speculating that Apple iPhone sales are going to decline in the coming quarter. That's the rumor. Now, the rumor's not always true, and rumors can be put around by a lot of different people, entities, and all this stuff. So who knows who's putting out this news. But again, you can kind of see here, Barclay saying Apple is cutting their iPhone 16 builds. It's likely indicative of weak demand, and the firm checks indicate that orders have been cut for the December quarter. The big thing today, again, is the Jolts report. The Jolts report is today. We got AMD again. NVIDIA is probably another one. NVIDIA all the way up to over 120s again. It's holding. Jerome Powell, you know, what I talked about yesterday prior to Jerome Powell speaking was that I thought that Jerome Powell would be balanced. And so I thought yesterday he would have like a hawkish, restrictive tone. And that's kind of what he had, right? But the market pushed up from it, I guess. The market ended up reacting fairly positively to this report. And so, yeah, we'll see what happens. I didn't wrestle in high school. I was never a wrestler, you know. I did a little bit of judo as a kid, but I don't remember much of it. You know, but my balance is good. Like, I have good balance. I think it's from skateboarding, really. Like, I skateboarded a lot as a kid. And in skateboarding, you have to learn to balance really well. And so I think balance helps a lot in jiu-jitsu, believe it or not, you know. Learning how to be able to, like, land on your feet and pop right back up, like, with balance, you know. It's a good thing. How messed up are your fingers? My fingers have definitely gotten bigger since I started training. Like, I used to have a gold wedding ring. And once I started training, it doesn't fit me anymore. Like, my fingers have gotten bigger. Yeah, I kind of felt bad. I felt really bad afterwards. But luckily, my coach saw it. He saw the whole thing. Luckily, I was lucky my coach wasn't rolling. Because a lot of the time, coach rolls with people, right? For whatever reason, he wasn't rolling yesterday. And so he saw the whole thing. He saw me set it up. He saw me get the bow and arrow. He saw me recognize that he was out and let it go. And he saw him not, and most importantly, he saw him not tap, you know. So again, not my fault there, but I'm still kind of frustrated because, like, I don't want people avoiding me and thinking I'm too rough, because I'm really not. Like, I try to be nice to people, you know. Like, I probably could have held it a little bit longer. I just didn't, you know. I just recognized it pretty quick. I heard it is what I did. I heard it. Now, sometimes people are just kind of struggling, but yeah. The Jolts report is at 10 a.m. We also have ISM manufacturing PMI at 10 a.m. You know, the Jolts number is expected to show today at 7.64 million. So the Jolts report is expected to show at 7.64 million. And that drops at the same time as ISM manufacturing PMI expected to show at 47.6%. We also have ISM manufacturing prices. We also had European CPI this morning. European CPI came out this morning year over year at 1.8% for European CPI on the month. It came in at minus 0.1%. So in Europe, inflation is going down. At least European CPI is. And we'll see if that holds. But so far, it looks like inflation is getting better overseas. Hopefully, that's the truth. All right. Hey, what's up, Beach? Yeah, so I'm looking at gold. Gold bouncing up a little bit as well here. Who's messaging me? 640. Oh, it's Carol. Yeah, I'm looking at some news here. All right, guys. Tesla delivery number. So yeah, Tesla deliveries drop tomorrow, I believe, right? So I'm pretty sure they're tomorrow. Yeah, so Tesla is going to report Q3 deliveries on Wednesday. So tomorrow, Tesla delivery numbers. It's a really busy week all week this week, really. So like every day this week we got something going on for the rest of the week. Again, specifically, we got ISM Manufacturing, the Jolts report today at 10 o'clock. Both of them drop at 10 a.m. Tomorrow, we've got ADP non-farm employment change, basically prelim payroll numbers, as well as Tesla delivery numbers before the opening bell at 9 a.m. is when, typically, I'm pretty sure Tesla deliveries drop at like 9 a.m., I'm pretty sure, Eastern time. Thursday, we've got jobless claims, unemployment filings, as well as ISM services data. Friday's the biggest day in terms of economic reports. We've got non-farm payrolls and unemployment data coming out. What's Nike's Nike earnings today? Is it really? Yeah, I'm not going to stream it. Nike's just not big enough. Not enough people care about Nike earnings, to be honest. Like Nike earnings are not really like a, believe it or not, they're not really like a super watched earnings report. But we'll watch it. Like we're gonna watch it, but we're not gonna stream it. It's not big enough. You know, typically, if you look at the earnings that we cover, it's mostly tech, right? Like tech stocks are the earnings that we cover. Like we stream all the tech stock earnings. All the other ones are not really big enough to have any type of weight. Yeah, so again, I'm reading this thing about this place in Houston closing. So Killen's STQ is closing down, unfortunately. So Killen's STQ is a steakhouse in Houston. It's shutting down at the end of this month, according to Culture Map Houston reported on Monday. It comes after right under 8-year anniversary for the steakhouse. And again, this is very common. Like, you want to see how tech is changing everything. It's not just affecting like what might be the obvious businesses. You know, Killen's made the decision to shut down STQ based on declining business. The declining business in the post-pandemic era is definitely one of the reasons for a lot of restaurant owners that this specific company have spoken to. It's also a bit of, a broad brush for a lot of other reasons for various factors, including increasing costs of raw material, labor. The big declining, the big thing that contributes to the declines are these shifts from in-office to remote work, economic pressures from customers, eating out, less people eating out, more people, like I think a lot of people are staying at home and eating, and when they go, they are eating, it's kind of harder to get Uber Eats or something like that for a place like this. And so, yeah, a lot of places like this are closing. It's a U.S. port strikes causing the first shutdown in 50 years. So tens of thousands of dock workers are now on strike indefinitely as ports across much of the U.S. They're threatening significant trade and economic disruption. This is from members of the International Longshoremen's Association. They basically went on strike today at 14 major ports along the east and Gulf coasts. It's halting container traffic from Maine to Texas. It's the first shutdown in 50 years. So talks have been stalled for months, basically. They're fighting over a 6-year master contract that covers about 25,000 port workers employed in container and roll-on and off operations, according to the U.S. Maritime Alliance, which is known as USMX. On Monday, USMX said it increased its offer, which would raise wages by almost 50%, triple employers' contributions to pensions, and strengthen health care. Harold Daggett is the union boss. He called for big pay increases for his members. The reason he said so was voicing concerns about threats from automation. Yeah, but I mean, look, and I'm all for stuff like this, but like, I think the real problem is that businesses are struggling too, so like, we saw strikes for another company. I can't remember what it was, but it was a company that was obviously struggling, like obviously a failing company, and like all of the employees went on strike. And it's like, you can't blame the company for struggling. You know what I mean? Like, you can't blame the company for struggling. Like, of course, we'd all like to get paid more, but you can't really blame the company for struggling, especially in businesses that might eventually be rendered obsolete from automation. Like, y'all going on strike is just going to prove that they need automation. It's going to contradict your point. Like, you need to say, hey, you need us, but don't use automation. Like, okay. Like, what do you think it's going to do? I don't know. I'm just, I'm for unions, but I also think sometimes unions can get a little crazy, and they can just hurt businesses. Of course, it's a pleasant thought to think that everybody should get paid as much as they can, and that's great, but sometimes it's not feasible for the business. And so, yeah, UPS had a strike. I remember that. And again, but the problem is UPS is struggling. It's not really like the pinnacle of success of a business. And so unions are great. And of course, I think people want to get paid more. But I guess the point is, like, if you have a job in what's going to eventually be rendered an obsolete position, then what's the point? Like, what's the point of doing all this stuff? You got to go find another job. That's the nature of life. Thus is life, You can't really get mad at the company for it that's struggling also, you know what I mean? Because if stuff's going a different way technology-wise, it's just something where you got to just be okay with moving around, and if you've got skills, you got skills. Those skills are usually going to be universal in the workplace, and if they're not, then you better make them, because you gotta, that's the nature of life. The people who get paid the most are not people that get involved with unions and get forced to get paid a lot. The people that get paid the most are the people who shop around, find the highest bidder for their services, and use that leverage to get paid more and more and more and more. And now I guess they can also do it with a union as well, but like, I don't know. Again, I like unions. I think for most part unions are good, but I also think that sometimes they can get a little unreasonable, and that unreasonable aspect of it causes problems, You only realize this when you own your own business? Yeah, for sure. Well, like, an example of this is, like, I've had people work with me before. And Pawn's great. Pawn's probably the best guy that I've had working for him. But I've had other people that have worked for me where I've literally paid them thousands of dollars a month, right? And again, like, they weren't doing too much stuff, right? I'm not talking about Pawn. Pawn does great. He, and I pay Pawn pretty good, for everything. But other people, I would pay them $1,000 a month, and then they wouldn't do anything. And then, I had one guy try to basically quiet quit on me, and I immediately was just kind of like, hey, I'm going to go ahead and relieve you of working for me. Like, I just don't need you to work for me anymore. And I was nice about it. I'm a big believer in kill them with kindness. Like, hey, thanks so much. You've done great, but I don't really need you here anymore. And, I appreciate your stuff. Like, have a great day, But I think young people have a different mentality. I really do. I think young people have a different mentality. And I would understand it if I wasn't paying people enough, but I pay people pretty good here. Like, I believe in taking care of people. I believe if you get what you put out there. And so if you're good to people, you get goodness back. If you're bad to people, you get badness back. So even some of the people that have gotten kind of weird with me before, I still try to be good. And I still probably, like, if you look at the objective standard, I still treated them pretty good. Like, some of them, when they left, I gave them a couple grand, like a couple $1,000s, and was just like, here, take it. You can call this whatever you want. Just, I'm trying to help you out. Like, have a great life. Here's a couple grand. And so I try to be good to people. I really do. Now, please do not message me trying to work for me. I don't need anybody to work for me. We're just not big enough to really need that. Honestly, I've got a couple people I work with. Pawn's great. Pawn does a great job. You know, I don't really need anybody else. The nerve. Well, yeah, no, like I remember I had one guy, and like this dude's only job was to post on Twitter. His only job was to post on Twitter. But I'm pretty sure he would stay up late on Fortnite. He would like stay up late playing Fortnite. And then I was paying him thousands of dollars a month. When time came to actually like do the work, he just didn't do it. Right? I think he would sleep in the morning when I needed the post to be done because he would stay up all night playing Fortnite or whatever it was and just end up not doing anything. You know, until it got to the point where I'd message him and be like, hey, you gonna post? Like, hey, you gonna post anything? Like, he was literally getting paid thousands of dollars a month just to post on Twitter. You know, like anybody here would probably take that job in a freaking heartbeat. You know, again, young, naive John just didn't know any better. But eventually I was just kind of like, all right, bro. Like, hey, you know, I just think, you know. Yeah. Right, for sure. I know, and I get it. I just don't need anybody else to work with me. I already kind of figured people are going to ask, but I'm just explaining the point here, which is that the point I'm trying to make, the overarching point that I kind of rambled off with ADHD brain, the overarching point is that you could ask for more money and want more money, but, you know, everything has to be reasonable. Like, you just got to be reasonable, you know? If you're reasonable, I'm reasonable. If you're not reasonable, I'm just not going to work with you. And I genuinely think I'm pretty reasonable. And unions have to be reasonable as well. Like if unions see the businesses that they're involved with struggling, you got to kind of take one for the team. If you want that industry to survive, you got to kind of be okay with, you know, maybe not getting the max pay you could ever get, you know, because if not, if you push it too hard, you're going to cause some of those businesses to fail. And is it your fault? No, not really. But then at the same time, when that business does fail, you can't complain about it failing like, oh, you know, because you're kind of part of the reason it did. You hurt the margins. And so I think it needs to be balanced. You know, I just think it needs to be balanced. Yeah, you know, the channel makes more money now, to be completely honest, Steve. And so it's a lot easier to, number one, I've gotten better at assertiveness, you know. Like at this point, if I don't think it's good, I'll just tell you. But, you know, years and years, like 5 years ago, you know, I just wasn't as assertive as I think I needed to be with people. And I think people might have taken advantage of that. But you learn, you know. October 1st. Let me do a poll here. Does today's Jolts job opening cause bullish or bearish market action? All right, vote on the poll. Let me know what you guys think. Yeah, for sure. Unions are extremely reasonable. They want more salary, better welfare, less work. If they can have it their way, they just want free money for doing. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think unions are good, right? I think unions are good. And I think unions protect people to a certain extent. I think businesses can cut corners and be greedy as well. Businesses that are thriving, that are doing really, really well, they can cut corners too. And so I think unions are generally good, but there needs to be boundaries with it. You know, so there needs to be boundaries. Like unions can be good. They can protect people and that's great. But there needs to be boundaries. I think unions should be reserved for only the most successful companies out there. Because I think if you're struggling as a business, you know, unions can destroy your business. Right. And, it's nuanced. Yeah. Joking aside, John and Pawn keep the madness on the internet. let me try over here. Yeah, there just needs to be balance. 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 Yeah, there just needs to be balance What's up, Caleb? Yeah, for sure, Pawn. 100%, man. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I've been thinking about doing a podcast lately. There's been a couple podcasts that I did that were pretty good. Like, we had one called Trader Rehab that was pretty good. Still a great name. I should have done it. But the guy I was doing it with, like, you know, the problem is, like, look, you know, in trading it really is one of those things that, like, I might be, say, polarizing things. You know, we're not going to agree on everything. I might like things that you don't like. You might like things that I dislike, you know. But, like, that's okay. We can still work together and build a business. Like, it's fine, you know. But I think the person I was doing it with didn't feel that way and just kind of got kind of if I spent time on anything else, then it would get kind of weird. And, like, I just, you know, in the end, it has to be, I got to be in control of things. You know, maybe it's OCD on my part. Maybe I'm difficult to work with, too. But podcasts are cool. I would start a podcast. Good morning, Beach. What's up, man? NASDAQ. Yeah, so again, NVIDIA's up. SPY is basically flat in pre-market and after hours. Gold is up a lot today. So look at gold. Here's a 1 minute chart. Here's just today alone for gold. Gold's pretty green now. The lifetime highs are, I think, at 1708. Yeah, 1708. So the lifetime highs, we're still a little ways away from that. Oh, we also got funded on another account yesterday. I forgot. So we did get funded. So again, we did get funded on another account yesterday. You'd love to see it. We got our poll going live. We got about 100 votes already. 58% are bullish so far on those votes. 42% are bearish. It boggles my mind how so many people can't just exchange ideas. Yeah, I mean, listen, that's life. It was a little bit more nuanced than that. Like, it was kind of like, it was like, my whole channel is kind of like anti-guru. Like, I'm not a guru. I'm not going to sell a course. I'm not going to sell a mentorship program. Like, everything out there is for free. And I also might tell you not to buy that stuff, right? But the guy I was involved with was in the podcast space, right? The guy that I was working with, he was like really, like, you know, you ever met somebody and they're involved with like a mentor guru, right? And they kind of look at them like they're celebrities. And so they get starstruck by them and they're so like enamored by, you know, these guys that like they believe every word that comes out of their mouth. They just kind of end up falling for it hook, line, and sinker. You know what I mean? And so whenever I'm on the other end, like, hey, you don't need to buy a course. You don't need to buy a service. You don't need to spend 10 grand on education in the trading space. Like, that's just unnecessary. I think that kind of rubbed them the wrong way. And, you know, yeah, it just didn't end up working out. You know, and I think a lot of people get wrapped up in that. I think a lot of people end up getting talked into, like, they think these guys out here doing these marketers are like celebrities. You know, and it's like, of course you're not a celebrity. Like, you're just a freaking marketer, you know? I don't even know what happened to that group of people. Let me look this up. I'm not going to mention names. I'm just curious. Man, what were they called? Oh, I remember. Yeah. I'm going to mute this background real quick so it doesn't show it if I click on it. Yeah. Yeah, we're like 3x what they are. You know. We should have kept going with that podcast. It would have worked. Reverse split. Yeah, Supermicro had their split here, guys. Here's Supermicro Semiconductors. So a 10-to-1 split, or a 1-to-10 split. Boeing. So I'm looking at some of the stuff. Boeing is considering issuing 10 billion in new shares. So Boeing is thinking about dilution. So Boeing fell 2.6% this morning. Bloomberg report that the aerospace that Boeing is considering raising another 10 billion shares as it works to bolster cash reserves that have been depleted by a strike. So yeah, Boeing talking about doing a split. If you don't understand why a split is reacted negatively to, a split is dilution, right? So a split is dilution. So when you do a stock split, it dilutes the company. Adding more shares to the float means each individual share is less valuable, right? Like that's the way you have to think about any type of offering. Is they're thinking about doing not a split. I mean, I think I said a split. What I mean is an offering. Anytime you add shares to the float in what's called an offering, there's multiple different types of offering. There's the initial public offering, the IPO, which is probably the most famous version of offerings is an IPO. It's when the company goes public for the first time. It's initially offering shares to the public. Now there's what's called secondary offering. So it's adding more shares to the float after the IPO. It's called a secondary offering. And again, when you do that, it dilutes the company. It makes each individual share less valuable because you're adding more shares to the float. Boeing is considering $10 billion in shares. So $10 billion in shares. You know, Boeing is $151 a share. And so just to do that math here, you know, $10 billion in shares. 10 bill divided by 151. So they're thinking about adding another 66 million shares to the float. Another 66 million shares to the float. What is Boeing's current float size? Boeing's current float size is about 582 million, right? So percentage-wise, you know, it's like 15 to 20% of their float. They're thinking about adding like 15% more shares to the float. So it's about 15% dilution. Just to show you kind of how I calculate that. Again, it's about 15% dilution if they end up doing it. Now, I'm not saying they will, but if they do, that's the type of dilution that it is. Reverse split on Supermicro Semiconductors. Well, it's not a reverse split. It's just an actual split. A reverse split means that you're making the share price higher, not lower. You know, a conventional stock split takes each share and reduces it 10x. So if you've got a stock that is $1,000, or if you got a stock that's $1,000 a share, and you do a 1 to 10 split, like you're breaking one share into 10 shares, then each share is going to be $100. You see this in like Nvidia is probably the best examples of this. Nvidia was over $1,000, and then they did their split, and now they're $100 and something. They were at about $1,200. Now they're at $120. So it was a 10-to-1 split, or a 1 to 10 split, breaking one share into 10 shares. 10 for 1 split is technically what is called a 10 for 1 split. But a reverse split is if you have a stock price that is $100 a share. Usually you'll see reverse splits done by terrible penny stock companies, right? Like terrible, horrible, not profitable, losing, wildly depreciating penny stocks that are desperate to stay afloat. Like the NASDAQ will send out minimum bid requirements. So the NASDAQ will basically be like, yo, if you're not over X amount in price per share, we're going to kick you out of the NASDAQ. We're going to kick you out of the New York Stock Exchange. So there's something called a minimum NASDAQ bid requirement. Like the bid price for your shares needs to be over X amount. If a company sucks and they are not able to do that, what they'll do is they'll do what's called a reverse split. So that's like saying that you'll mostly see it in like a $5 stock. Really, a lot of the time you'll see it with like a 30-cent stock that's getting threatened to get delisted and go to the pink sheets. And you'll see them do like a 50 for 1 split or something like that. So 50x shares, turn it into $15 a trade. Stuff like that. But that's called a reverse split. That's making it more expensive per share, not less expensive. A conventional stock split just means you're taking a share and you're splitting it up into multiple parts. i.e. Supermicro with a 10 for 1 split, where they're breaking each share into 10 pieces, and now they're at $42 a share. So that's what splits are. Hope that makes sense. What if Jolts result is going down? Will it be bullish or bearish? Well, I think right now we want economic strength. So I think right now we want economic strength to us. So I think we want a higher number for Jolts. And again, I don't know for sure. I think it could behave in any way, really. We don't really know how it's going to behave. I think it could do anything. But generally, we want a higher number here, I think, for the economy. Bears will be prowling around on that news. Yeah. Jolts report is in is in about an hour. Or no, I'm sorry. The Jolts report is in about 2 hours. Tesla deliveries are usually at 9 a.m. Around 9 a.m., right? Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm pretty sure they're usually around 9 a.m. Yeah, I mean, usually it's penny stocks, Caleb. So, I mean, if you look at penny stocks. And again, I say this once, I'll say it again. As traders, try not to be so susceptible to marketing. Right? What do I mean by this? Like, I mean, when you look at some of these terrible, terrible penny stocks, you might think that you can find the diamonds in the rough and find some of these horrible, terrible penny stocks and find the diamonds in the rough and get rich just finding them. I'm here to tell you that's almost certainly not going to happen. And that most of the time, you can't even trust the marketing that's out there for these penny stocks. They'll tell you it's the greatest freaking company ever. They'll say it's the next Amazon. You better buy it now. They'll put pressure on you. They'll pressure sales you. And most of them will end up just failing, getting delisted. The CEOs a lot of the time even know this. You want to know why penny stocks are highly volatile? Is because a lot of the time, even the CEOs of the penny stocks themselves do not believe in the company's future. And so they'll wait for the price to spike up a crazy amount, and then they'll unload their shares, basically giving up access to the company because they understand it's not going to survive, and the only people that are really keeping those things afloat are rookie traders that get talked into holding them, so again, just be resilient to that behavior. Understand what you're looking at, what you're doing. None of these penny stocks are really going to succeed, in my opinion. Not a large majority of them, at least. And most blue chip healthy companies were absolutely never penny stocks. So do not buy blue chip, or do not buy penny stocks thinking they're going to turn into Tesla or Amazon or Apple. Almost all made. Somebody gave me a list the other day, and again, it's all love. Like, I hope he's not too mad that I kind of proved it wrong. He gave me a list. He gave me a list of like 4 or 5 blue chip companies. Maybe it was more. And he said, see, all these stocks started off as penny stocks, or were once penny stocks. And I ended up going through the list and looking at the stocks. He said like Amazon, like Tesla, like a bunch of these stocks. And I had to look at the pre-split price because a lot of them had been split to reduce shares. And none of them were ever penny stocks, right? Like his entire argument was rendered useless because none of those stocks were ever penny stocks. Like, they were all blue chip healthy companies that never went under $10 a share. And so I think splits a lot of the time trick people. An example of this, if I look at Supermicro semiconductor shares, right, the split's not really showing. But if I look at Supermicro, let me see if Nvidia is a better example. Yeah, so here's Nvidia, right? So you might look at this and say, oh man, Nvidia was 3 cents a share. This is not true. If you look at where Nvidia IPO'd in 1999, Nvidia IPO'd at $12 a share. $12 a share. It was never 3 cents a share. It's just been split. And so if you have like a 10-for-1 split, like Nvidia, the historicals are going to show a different price than the actual number. And this tricks a lot of people into thinking penny stocks or blue chip healthy companies were once penny stocks, but they're not. And so I guess the overarching point is don't get talked into buying crap. Yeah, penny stocks Well, yeah, I mean, mostly what I'm referring to when I say penny stocks are low float, like low float penny stocks, which means they have a small market cap. You know, what's up, Mitch? What happened, Pawn? I'm just now catching back up on it. Oh. Oh man, that's sad, Pawn. He was Amish? Yeah, dude. We got the port strikes, Mitch. It's kind of crazy right now. You know, the port strikes are going on. Yeah, we also have Nike earnings today, although I don't know how big Nike earnings are going to be, you know. Yeah, so I see these, man. Again, the port strikes. Let me use AI. One of the reasons AI is good is because I can... Alright, guys, so I'm going to have AI break all of this down, and this is why AI is good. Alright, so port strikes can have significant and far-reaching effects on various financial markets, including stocks, futures, the economy overall. They typically occur when workers at these ports, longshoremen, go on strike due to labor disputes. They can be driven by issues such as wage disagreement. Basically, again, and I think unions are good to an extent. Right? But basically what the port strikers are saying is that they are going on strike because they are worried about automation replacing them. And again, like, I don't know if maybe I'm missing something here, but if you're worried about automation replacing you, wouldn't going on strike be the last thing you want to do? You're basically saying, hey, look at how bad a human can affect business. Why not try automation? You know? So it just seems like, I think them doing this is going to make the companies involved push harder for automation, not less. It seems contradictory. No? So direct impact on shipping companies is a thing. So companies in the shipping industry, including container, cargo operators, Evergreen, Maritime. Like, there's a lot of companies. Let's see what. Let me see how they are. So the stock sign is it? What's the symbol? I'm trying to see the symbol. Give me some port strikes. EVGZF. I guess it's a penny stock. I'm not going to be able to look at it. Alright, so a lengthy work stoppage could affect companies who need merchandise. Walmart, Costco, Target, Lowe's, Home Depot. Are they down today? There's Walmart, there's Home Depot, Costco, Lowe's. Yeah. So companies like Apple, Dell, electronic manufacturers also might rely on these shipments. Port delays can affect their ability to maintain inventory. Commodity futures like oil, metal, agriculture, raw materials can experience fluctuations. If crude oil shipments are delayed, oil futures could spike. And again, look at oil. So oil dipped a lot and then rebounded some today too. Yeah, it's pay John, they want more money. Yeah, for sure, 100%. CLF, yeah, Cleveland Cliffs. Yeah, we'll see what the market opens, how this will really affect it. We also have the Jolts job report today as well. Again, Supermicro doing a split. Oh, here, drive the Amish around, huh? JOBY. I'm seeing Q's more bullish than the SPY. Yeah, well, the Q's been rebounding close to lifetime highs here. So, like, here's the Q. Right. Now, the Q is getting closer to lifetime highs. The Q lifetime highs are at 503. So, we're really only about, like, $15 away per share. The SPY, on the other hand, is, like, basically right at lifetime highs today. It's very, very close. The previous lifetime high is 575, roughly 575. And so this big old yellow line right here is the lifetime high on the SPY. And so we could break lifetime highs again today if we continue. Again, we'll see if we do, but we could. You know, we could. I wish I would have listened to you on Supermicro. Yeah, I mean, again, I called Supermicro. People asked me about this prior to the big drop when it was at like $500-$600. And I told them the same thing, which is that it's a low float stock that's up big on microchip momentum. And it's just up a lot. It's highly volatile. It's super risky. And again, I told people this. Again, sometimes people like to take all the exciting plays, you know, and like, it is what it is. You know, again, if I was wrong and, you know, again, there's a lot of variance that goes with it. So, you know, if it would have gone up, they would be sitting here saying the same thing. So, I mean, it's all good. But I definitely called it. I definitely called Supermicro. People were asking me a lot about this one prior to the big drop, and I told them it was risky, not really interested in buying it, and that mentality was correct. Yeah, I know it's a 10-to-1 split, but even prior to the split, right? Again, Supermicro was at $500-$600 a share. Now it's essentially at a pre-split price of $420, and it dropped under $400 for a lot as well. So yeah, not even mentioning the split. The split is just a restructuring. All right, so the port strikes that started today are causing big disruptions to key shipping routes in the U.S. East Coast and Gulf Coast. Around 45,000 dock workers represented by the ILA are striking due to unresolved labor negotiations with the U.S. Maritime Alliance. It involves the implementation of automation at ports, particularly automated gate systems that the union believes threaten job security. Workers are also demanding better compensation packages as the contract negotiations. So global shipping disruptions are expected here, with the East and Gulf Coast ports handling about half of the U.S. imports. The strike is going to lead to significant delays in port congestion if it's not resolved quickly. Ships are going to be stuck, waiting to dock and unload, creating backlogs that could take weeks or months to fix. The congestion will impact supply chains globally, delayed shipments, including industries like retail, electronics, and manufacturing. Companies dependent on import-exports, again, are going to see immediate impacts. Retailers, those gearing up for holiday seasons, could face inventory shortages, pressure stock prices because of that. Tech companies relying on overseas components and like, you know, metals, finished products might also see production slow. Logistics and shipping sectors are going to be hit the hardest, though. Delays will directly affect their revenue. So again, obviously shipping sectors, logistics sectors are going to be the most impacted by this. Commodities that rely on these ports for exports, such as oil, gas, agriculture, will see rising prices. Gulf Coast ports can handle much of the U.S.'s oil and gas, are specifically vulnerable. Disruptions could cause oil future prices to spike due to scarcity and concerns for supply. Agricultural exporters like crops, soybeans, corn, are also expected to experience some difficulties affecting future prices and all that stuff. Businesses are likely to face higher shipping costs as well because of all of this. Companies may also incur additional fees for containers stuck at ports beyond their allowed period and stuff like that. So this is going to affect everything. Labor experts are divided on how long this strike could last. Historically, port strikes of this magnitude have led to government intervention if they begin to significantly threaten the U.S. economy, especially with the U.S. election around the corner. If negotiations drag on, the strike could extend into key holiday shipping periods, exacerbating the supply chain problems. And a short-term resolution is possible, but the deeper issues of automation and compensation may keep discussions prolonged. So yeah, that is basically kind of a look at the port strikes and what's going on and how it might impact everything. When we look at gold, gold's shooting up today. Again, Nvidia's up. SPY is up after Big Papa Jerome Powell spoke. So yeah, steel could run again. Scarcity is what you got to think about these. So, scarcity. So Charles Schwab, CEO, is supposedly supposed to retire at the end of this year. So CEO Walter B has notified the brokerage's board of his intention to retire effective December 31st. He's been CEO of Charles Schwab since 2008. Yeah, so let's take a look at U.S. steel. Again, scarcity could drag prices up. I don't know. I don't know how historically. Let's see a little bit more. All right, so historically, port strikes have a noticeable impact on steel, though the extent and timing can be, there's some variance there based on several factors. So port strikes can slow down or halt the import and export of raw materials used in steel production, such as iron ore, coal, scrap metal. Shortages in these essential inputs leading to price increases from scarcity. If the strikes occur at major ports that handle large volume of steel, it can directly affect steel availability in the market and cause scarcity and thus price increases. A significant amount of steel used in various industries is imported, especially in countries like the U.S. and European nations. During port strikes, shipments of this are delayed, creating shortages. So basically, when there's shortages in any commodity, scarcity increases and price consequently increases from it. Look at gold. Gold's still spiking up. And so is there steel futures? What's the symbol for steel futures? Aluminum already getting the move. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not telling you guys to buy anything. I have no freaking idea what I'm talking about. I might be wildly wrong about anything and everything I say. Understand this is just for entertainment only. I do trade off stream. You're not going to see all my trades. Do not copy me. The channel's called Beginner Trading. Do not copy me. I'm not an investment professional. I'm definitely one of the top 3 worst ever traders in the world right now. Definitely top 3 greatest looking, though. And so hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. I'm going to put it in sub-only mode, actually, chat. I don't think I've done that today yet. Yeah. Yeah, so we're going to throw it in sub-only mode today. There we go. We are in sub-only mode. We got the Jolts report going live today. If a strike occurs, the backlogs and delays would take weeks to resolve. Additional costs. Demurrage fees. Strain companies. Yeah, for sure. 100%. It's going to affect everything, which is interesting. But yeah, guys. Freaking jiu-jitsu. I know I'm kind of venting about it a lot, honestly. But this freaking purple belt in jiu-jitsu, I literally got him in a straight, fully locked in bow and arrow choke. He didn't tap. He literally went out and started drooling. And I had to wake him up. And everybody was looking at me. Luckily, the coach saw it. And the coach saw me fully locked in. He's more experienced. He's a purple belt. I'm a white belt. Fully locked in bow and arrow. He should have tapped. He didn't tap. The coach saw he didn't tap, so I didn't get in trouble. But man, drama at jiu-jitsu. I feel bad though. It was kind of like, look, again, I talked about this a lot, but I feel bad. He should have tapped. Like basically, I got him in this choke right here. This choke right here. This isn't him. This is a friend of mine, JB. That choke right there. It's called a bow and arrow choke. And you call it a bow and arrow choke because because you kind of like pull on it like a bow and arrow. But if you don't tap to that, you're going out. And that's what he did. This is JB. He tapped like he's supposed to. And JB was kind of being nice anyway. So like JB's pretty nice about it. He's not, you know. But now I gotta feel bad. How long? Hey, nice, Sean. Happy to help, brother. You're definitely in the top 3 of people I like to listen to every morning. Hey, thanks, Joshua. You're one of my top 2 commenters in the world right now. How long? You mean how long did he go out? So he went out, right? And again, I had him in a fully locked in choke. And he didn't tap. He should have tapped. But he's a purple belt and I'm a white belt, and so I don't know if he got his pride in the way. The sad part is his daughter trains with all of us. His daughter comes in with him. She saw him. Like he didn't tap, but I heard it. Again, I heard it. I hear like, and so I'm like, oh no, he's snoring. Like he's out, you know. And so I immediately let him go and like pick up his legs so the blood flow can kind of rush and wake him up a little bit. But man, I just don't want my coach looking at me like I'm toxic or something, because, you know. Yeah. Yeah. Well, it has to do with milkshake. It has to do with what you watch, right? So you might watch me, but you gotta, you know, I don't know. Not the arm. Oh, yeah, well, no, Mitch was saying I should have armbarred him, I think is what he said. Did the guy talk to you after he woke up? I felt bad. And because, again, it was kind of like that's the worst I've ever seen anybody go out. And and I'm the one that did it. And so I felt bad, even though it wasn't my fault at all, right? Like, it's very hard to tell when somebody goes. And so once he woke up and kind of got his wits about him again, I went up to him and I was like, hey, I told him my experience. The only choke I've ever gone out to myself was a bow and arrow choke, right? And I wasn't actually rolling with anybody. I wasn't sparring with somebody. I was my coach's dummy, like my coach's assistant, kind of. And I had never been put in a bow and arrow choke before. This is like in my first couple months training. And I was listening to my breathing because, like, but it's a blood choke, and so that doesn't work. And so I was my coach's assistant. I ended up going out, hearing reggae music in my head. I remember hearing like drums and like reggae music in my head. And I remember I was having like a party in my head. I was like talking to somebody or something. And then I ended up like waking up. Everybody's staring at me. They said I was snoring with my eyes open. And that's the only choke I've ever gone out to, was a bow and arrow choke. And so that's what I told the guy. I said, hey, look, if it makes you feel better, the only one that I ever went out to was a bow and arrow choke. Like, they happen quick. It happens quick, you know. And so he was in good spirits. He was nice about it. He kind of explained to me that he thought that his arm was here, right? Like, he thought that his arm was blocking the choke. And so he was oblivious, you know, to it, and it just happened quick. And so I get it. It happens. He's good. He's a purple belt. Like, he's pretty good. He's a nice guy. So there's not, you could watch the news coming out right here, T. You know, if you've never trained jiu-jitsu, BJJ, one of the funnest things in the world, right? If you love video games, it's the closest thing I've ever experienced to a video game in real life, right? You gotta enjoy it, though. You gotta love it. Like, once you get good at it, it's fun. You know, but you gotta like it. I love rolling with people. Like, I love sparring with people. It's fun to me. I'm hyper competitive as a person, though, and so there's some people that like they get scared to roll. You know, you just gotta. It's like exposure therapy. You just kind of get out there and do it, and you'll get better. Hey, later, Mitch. Appreciate you stopping by, brother. Thanks, man. We'll have to get you back on stream one of these days. Yeah. Gold's pushing up. I wonder if it's affected by the port strikes. Stellantis, I don't know about. I heard things about Stellantis yesterday where I'm worried about it pushing up a little bit. You know, it had this big, massive drop. If you look at STLA yesterday, if you look at it yesterday, I don't know why it dropped this big. All right, so I guess this is all from the port strikes. Oh no, Stellantis recalls over 154,000 Jeep plug hybrid SUVs in the U.S. citing a fire risk. So they're recalling 150,000+ Jeep plug-in hybrid SUVs. The company is recalling 154K in the U.S., 14,000 in Canada, 673 in Mexico, and about 25,000 outside North America. They said totaling 194,000 units recalled. The company decided to recall the vehicles after a routine review of customer data unveiled 13 fire instances where the vehicles were parked and turned off. That is why they're down. And so I don't know. Typically I'm a big believer in like buying the dip in stocks. I don't know if I don't know if this is the one to buy the dip in though. Again, I might be wrong. I don't know. Five to one risk reward, or reward to risk. Some of these subs are underestimated how fast you can go. Yeah, for sure. You can go out quick with a lot of bow and arrows, especially a rough one, because it just happens so quickly. I would say a bow and arrow. There's a couple other ones like collar chokes in general. Are very. You just got to put your pride away and tap. You know, like I tapped immediately after that happened. I rolled with coach. One of my main coaches, and I tapped multiple times, you know, so like tapping's necessary. Like you're gonna tap, you know, and I feel like I've rolled with the same guy before, and like I had him in a mounted cross collar choke, and I heard snoring, and I let it go, and then he immediately just kind of went back like everything was fine. I even told some of my friends the same thing, which is that I'm pretty sure, you know, it's happened before, and so I think he needs to tap, you know. Tesla at 263s. Like if you get me in a fully locked in sub, I'm tapping, you know. Like I've never been put out rolling with anybody because I tap if I'm out. If I'm called, I tap, you know. Baseball bat choke. That's a different one, man. That one's really fun though. Once you get good at it, it's really fun too, because you kind of like alligator roll with it, and it's really sneaky because they don't realize how bad it is until it's too late. It's really cool how products are getting worse. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I can see you're trolling a little bit, Daniel. He said, please send your point of view on why the port strikes gives justification for automation at the boss of the port so that he can calm those people down and get them to go back to it. Yeah. I mean, look, I get it, but I don't know if the biggest argument against automation is going on strike. You know? Like, I get it, you want to get paid more, but I don't know. It's kind of like saying, hey, look what humans will do if you keep hiring us. We'll go on strike and threaten your business. But don't use automation. You know, it's like, okay, I guess. Great argument. Like, hey, if you hire humans, we're going to rebel and demand higher prices and go on strike. But we're also going to get upset if you try to limit that risk through automation, you know. Data today is at 10 a.m. I'll put this up on screen, but the data today. Jolts report jobs at 10 a.m. is expected today at, I think it's like 7.7 million. Here, I'm going to write this down a little bit better. All right, so ISM PMI drops at the same exact time. It's expected at 47.5%. I'll put the timer up now too, since we're getting closer to this. All right, so we got about an hour and 23. There we go. All right, so there we go. Again, a lot of people are, there's a rumor going around that iPhone production is going to decrease. Choke, stocks, and coffee. Breakfast of champions. Top 3 greatest topics in the world right now. But let's be honest, humans are of greater importance than robots and AI. We are living in unique. Most people forget this. I mean, yeah, look. Capitalism does a lot of things right. Okay? It really does. Capitalism creates a high standard of living. Like, it does a lot of things correctly. But one of the common truths of capitalism is people are going to do whatever they got to do to make more money. You know, whatever that's allowed to do, whatever that is accepted to do, people are going to do it if it makes them more money, right? And that includes automation. Now, the other good thing is that, like, those type of industries are going to create more jobs in other sectors, you know, but they're also going to lose jobs in specific sectors through automation. This is the natural, like, honestly, in terms of manufacturing, this is a long, like, time coming. Like, in manufacturing, obviously people are going to get replaced by robots. This has been happening for the last 100 years. As we get more and more efficient in terms of technology and production, we're going to obviously swap out people for more robots, right? Like, that's normal, that's obvious, that's very self-evident in terms of predictability. You know, and I get it, but I think when the automobile came out, people who worked on carriages got a little worried, and understandably so. But the automobile created so many more jobs that it was still worth it. You know, we can't stifle technology to, like, hold on to obsolete jobs. You know what I mean? Like, I think we have to look at the future objectively. If that's the case, we need less. I mean, listen. There's ways to make money online, right? There's ways to make money. You know, a lot of people, you know, manufacturing is great, but to a certain extent, it's not a super complex job, right? Like working at a manufacturing plant, it's not a super complex job. It can be. I'm not knocking anybody that does it. I'm just saying if it's replaceable, it's going to eventually get replaced. You know, and again, there's other skills you can learn that people are going to be able to use. I'm not trying to discourage anybody. I'm just being honest. If it's replaceable, they're going to try to replace it, you know, through automation. And I don't know if going on strike's necessarily going to help. What's up, bro? Appreciate your channel. What's your thoughts on price action for today after the Jolts report? I really don't know. It depends on what the Jolts report shows up as. I think the market is in a period of time in which a higher Jolts report is going to be interpreted as better. A lower Jolts report is going to be interpreted as worse. I might be wrong here, though. I really might be. I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, I'm not talking about drop shipping. That's just what you have marketed to you, digital. You know, like, I'm talking about, there's a lot of jobs that you can now do from home like customer service representative as an example, right? Like there's a lot of jobs that you can do from home now that you don't need to go work at a manufacturing plant. You're going to make a lot of the same prices. You just got to shop around. There's going to be jobs, you know. You know, somebody's bringing up the world's population. The thing about the world being as big as it is, like, in order for people to be taken care of, they need other people, right? And so it's, if there's a lot of people here, that means there's a lot of jobs because people need others for work, right? That's normal. Yeah, customer service is going to be replaced by, to a certain extent, sure, but not all the way. And you're still going to need people. That's probably not the best example in hindsight, though. Y'all are probably right in that way. It's probably not the best example. AI and robots will ruin more than it creates. Maybe. Again, I don't know. I think it's nuanced. I don't think we're in a Skynet-like situation. I don't think that we don't have sentiency. You know, the risk is job replacement, and I think it's an understandable risk. But I also think that it's going to create jobs and it's create businesses. You know, more businesses. Like, so this is, I think, the way I'm looking at it, at least. And maybe I'm wrong. I could certainly be wrong here. But whenever more businesses are created, right? If more businesses are created, you need more people to work those businesses, right? And one thing that AI is going to do is it's going to cause a big increase in production. You know, why? Because it's so much easier to produce technology. It's so much easier to produce software. It's so much easier to create businesses. It's so much easier to create jobs using AI, you know? And so while people are worried about it, I think it's also going to do some good in terms of job creation. I think the easiest correlation that we can use here is the internet. You know, people fear the internet. They fear that the internet would replace jobs and all this different stuff. But imagine how many jobs were created from the internet. Like, imagine how many people are working, like specifically me right now. I'm literally working a job on the internet right now as I speak. And without the internet, I wouldn't be able to do this. And so I get it. I get people are scared of it. I understand, you know, but I also think it's going to create jobs. All right. Hey guys, how you doing? Yeah, I don't think we're in a Terminator-like situation in regards to jobs, but I think AI is getting really good. I think in 20 years, you got to think about how much AI is going to grow, how many businesses are going to be created from AI alone. And I think that's what you got to think about and understand here. All right. Love you, dude. Have a good day, man. Love you guys. Hey, have a great day, buddy. All right?
Put on your shoes.
All right. I love you. Have a good day. Y'all have a great day, okay? Love you guys. Alright. Alright, so we're here. If I accurately call out Q bottom today, can I get a t-shirt? I mean, you could get a t-shirt. I don't know if I'm going to give you one. I don't really have a t-shirt to give you unless you want some random t-shirt that I have. If my funded account was very profitable, what would stop them from copying and monitoring my strategy? I mean, nothing really. I mean, again, I think some of, like, I don't know if there's anything super wrong with somebody using your strategy. You know, I think it's understandable if your strategy's good that, you know. Hey, thank you, Michael. Appreciate it, man. Zero Headless Corporation, Tel Aviv, merchandise. Speaking of that, if you want to check out Top Step, if you haven't already, Top Step funded account program and futures. We did get funded on another account yesterday. So we did get funded on another account yesterday on Top Step X. Again, exactly how we did it. We got a short dropping later on today that kind of details how we did this. But again, what we did here was we built up a cushion first, right? We built up a cushion first. Once we had, or when we were first trying to get started here, Top Step gives you a demo. They test your skill with it. If you could pass the test, they fund you. If you fail, you only lose the monthly subscription. The monthly subscription for the base one, the 50K challenge, is $49 a month. That's your risk. It's $49 a month. It's very small. Basically, they give you a 50K demo. Our goal in this was to make $3,000 in profit without losing $2,000 first. And so what we had to do was in the beginning, we had to take some risks here. So in the beginning, we had to take some risks. Oh, wait. This is the wrong account, I think. Yeah, this is the... So, in the beginning, we had to take some risks, right? We still have to... see, the whole account is gone. But in the beginning, we had to trade micro contracts because we have to activate it because it's funded. So we had to trade regular contracts with bigger size. One contract at the NASDAQ can make you hundreds or thousands or lose hundreds of thousands. And so what we do is we trade pretty big while we're building up the bulk of the profit. So until we make like $2,500 in profit, we trade regular NASDAQ contracts. With large size, right? We got to take risks. We might have to reset it. You can always reset it for $49 and try again. But the beautiful part about Top Step X specifically, it's the biggest edge in funding right now, is that once you get close, like we got up to $2,700 in profit, we just needed $300 more. We could then scale down our size to micro contracts. And with micro contracts, it 10x's down my size. It makes my size 10 times smaller, allows me to really limit risk. And there's no commissions on Top Step X. The fees are only 74 cents per trade with micro contracts. And so I can make $9 a trade, $8.50, $4.50, $17, $10, $25, $18, $9, $11, $12, tiny size here. Tiny size, and trade very, very small and net profit on these. You know, that's the biggest edge in funding right now because you can get funded in the same way. Once you're funded, you can trade micro contracts like I do on this. This is my actual account. We made about $100 yesterday. I can trade micro contracts and trade very, very small, very, very easy, very, very safe, and stay funded with this account. Again, I can't guarantee you're going to make money, but Top Step is one of the most legit in the world, and the fact that you can trade micro contracts with no commissions and only a tiny fee per trade is a huge edge that a lot of people underestimate. Specifically, once you're funded, they have some of the best rules in the game, and the base one's only $49. They've paid out over $40 million to their traders. They fund thousands of traders. They're a sponsor of mine. I'm biased because of it, but a really great company, honestly, and a great way to learn how to day trade. In the futures market, you can day trade the S&P, the NASDAQ, some currencies, gold. Patterns are very similar to blue chip stock patterns, but there's no PDT rule, and there's just a big edge. It limits your risk, teaches you how to trade. Once you're funded, there's a 90% split, and so it's similar to putting the money up yourself. Check it out. There's the link. Appreciate the love. Top 3 plugs in the world right now, guys. Yeah. So again, 10 a.m. we got the Jolts report. That's the first plug we've done today, and we've been streaming for hours. So top 3 plugs in the world right now. Tesla at 263. It could be cool getting some hats or shirts in this chat. Yeah. I mean, we'll give away some stuff. Well, would you want a Tesla robot in your home? Depends on what the robot did, bro. It depends on how cool it was, honestly. If it's like a Bicentennial Man-esque robot, like the movie Bicentennial Man, where, you know, he looks like Robin Williams and he goes around being like my homie, sure, you know. You think Pereira gets it done this weekend? I don't know, bro. Listen, I think it's a tough one. You know, I think a lot of people are underestimating, what's his name? I think a lot of people are underestimating Khalil. Listen, Khalil used to be like a super good grappler. I'm pretty sure it was Khalil that was the grappler. They, you know, he was trained under, I think, like the Gracies or something like that, or at least one of the Gracie gyms. And he was like a really legit grappler, you know, but his striking was weak. He dedicated all of his time and energy to like Muay Thai striking, and this dude turned into a beast, man. This dude just started knocking people out. And so I think a lot of people are, listen, I think sometimes Pereira can be a little chinny, and I think if there's one person to test it, it's Khalil. And so while I think Alex will probably win, I think Khalil, he's got a shot. It's not a super weighted to one side, I think. Yeah, I don't know about what's going to happen here. Grappling isn't going to help him with Pereira. Yeah, but I think if he can get Pereira down, Pereira's grappling hasn't really been tested like that. He's hard to take down, you know, and he's got Pereira's really, you know, this is one thing I teach my kids in boxing, you know, and again, I'm not the best boxer, definitely top 3 ever, but definitely not the best. In boxing, you know, there's a very famous quote, and it goes, "The punches you don't see coming hurt the most." Right? And one thing Alex Pereira does really well is he doesn't, when he first starts hitting you, he doesn't put all his weight into it. He's not throwing haymakers. He's not throwing super big hooks or anything like that. He's throwing small. Sometimes he's not even like pivoting his hips a lot with his first few punches. So he's kind of peppering you with strikes, and he's really, really accurate, so he's hitting them in the chin. And then once they're dazed a little bit from the small little peppering strikes, that's when he starts to put his hips into it. Really, like, different strategy. A lot of people in the UFC don't fight like that. They just kind of throw haymakers like Jeremy Stevens or somebody. But Pereira, again, he kind of just clips you a little bit at first. You know, gets you... and again, it works because you don't telegraph it and it's fast, right? So he throws it really quickly so you can't really stop it. And then once he kind of clips you a little bit, he puts his weight into it. And that's what catches people. That's what happened to... what's his name? Yeah, his check hook is good. I actually like my left hook better than... I'm right-handed, but I like my left hook better than my right hook. Much better. So I like my check hook better than my main, like my right-handed hook. You know? That left hook cross, you know? And I'm not even that good at striking. I'm not even claiming to be, just to clarify. But I love martial arts. I'm kind of a martial arts nerd, obviously, here, if anybody listens to the stream. Tesla at 263s. Is it difficult to switch from Forex to futures? Well, I mean, you're going to be trading different things, but I think a lot of people in Forex should be trading futures. There's less red tape. You're allowed to do a lot more stuff in futures than you are in Forex. And so I personally think that, yeah, I disagree with that, to be honest, Reed. I mean, what do I know? Alex... You know, for him to get his belt after that, again, I feel like it's just marketing for the gym he's in, to be honest. Right? Number one, it's hard to tell whether he's a legit one or not, you know, because nobody's ever really seen him grapple. And he might be good at grappling, right? But you can look good at grappling. I don't know. I think... Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, there's big differences between futures and Forex. Obviously, futures was originally created as commodity trading, right? So when you traded futures, when the futures market was created, what happened was that, I've told this story before, but farmers would grow crops. And when it came time to yield and sell those crops, the prices had fluctuated so much on the crop that it wasn't as good of a business as they wanted because they had no stability. And so what they started doing was selling contracts to speculative investors, locking in the price that they would get for the crops before they would actually yield those crops. They would lock in the price, sell it to speculative investors, so they knew how much money they were going to make. So regardless of whether it went up or down, they had already locked in the price that they were going to get paid for. They called these contracts futures because they were betting on the future price of commodities. And that's how the futures market originated, was because of those original contracts between farmers and speculative investors. Well, eventually the futures market grew from there, and now you can day trade the S&P 500 future contracts. You can trade the S&P 500, the NASDAQ, the Dow, the Russell, and you can trade gold. You can trade all these other things outside of crops, and there's less red tape. There's less restrictions because it's futures, and so. Yeah, I would probably agree with that, Eric. That's probably right. Yeah, the whole thing about Alex P stepping on his foot is nonsense, bro. Like, Jamal Hill was just mad. He got clipped, you know. Like, listen, he acts like stepping on somebody's foot is against the rules here, you know. And if you look at it, Jamal Hill threw first. Like, he threw first. Like, he started throwing a strike before Alex did. And so for him to get mad at Alex because he stepped on his foot, like that's somehow against the rules, he just got mad. He got clipped, and it's really hard for him to be objective about it, I think. You hadn't really seen him since. And I liked him. He had some great fights, too. He had a really quick rise. All right, guys. So, yeah, we got about an hour before the Jolts report. The Jolts report is the biggest report of the day. It's expected at 7.7 million. Technically, if you look at 7.64 million. So anywhere between 7.6 and 7.7 million is what's expected. Again, a higher Jolts job opening is signaling a job is open, which means that it meets all three of these criteria. A specific position exists, and there's work available for it. A job could start within 30 days, and there's active recruitment for said job. Basically, the easiest way to put this is how, like, it's business growth, right? When businesses are growing, they hire more people. And so the Jolts report is basically measuring that, which is how much business is growing and ultimately hiring, if that makes sense, right? So that's what this is basing it off of. That's why a higher Jolts report signals more economic growth. A lower Jolts report signals more economic weakness. And so that's what this is. That's why the Jolts report's important. And it's a pretty big report. It's a relevant report you want to pay attention to. Because the Jolts report, again, is measuring it's measuring business growth through job openings. All right, guys. Yes, this is a big report. Let's see what else we got. Alright, so we got jobs. Yeah, so we also have ISM manufacturing PMI. Yeah, so sorry guys. I'm getting all this stuff ready, so. All right, guys. So again, I'm looking at some of the stuff. Let's see, New York open. I need one more thing. Let me see. We got the Jolts report live. Alright, let me switch this to the job reports. Alright, so we got 25 minutes. What's up, Ed? UFC pays nothing, go to boxing. Well, I don't know, man. I think you see stuff with like boxing that like I don't think that's a fair comparison. When you look at people in boxing, most boxers are not making that much money unless they're specifically in the main event. The main event boxers, and again, that's definitely not everybody, they're making some money, you know. The rest of the boxers on the card are usually not making much at all, right? And that's similar to the UFC in that regard. Yeah, so I know Nike has earnings today, so Nike does drop earnings today after the bell. We'll cover it tomorrow. Yeah, everybody's like, oh, boxing, but it's like they don't realize like the only people really making money on a boxing match are people who, the main card. You know, that's it. All right, here, I gotta mute the background music for just a second. Just a second. Let me make sure you guys can't hear me. Yeah, good. That's weird. All right, so I know I'm not talking right now. My bad. I just got to watch one thing. All right, guys. Nike Q1. After hours today. Yeah, it's after 4 p.m. today. We are not MMA promoters. We're not liable for your losses. We are not telling you. Definitely top 3 best disclaimers in the world right now. Yeah, Nike. Yeah, Mayweather, nah, he could have never done anything in the UFC. He would just get taken down quick. Although he's quick. If he just trained takedown defense for a few years, I think he'd probably do well. The numbers drop at 10 a.m. 10 a.m. Eastern time. Yeah, so there's a port strike right now. The port strike is affecting everything. We talked about this a lot today. So, again, right now, the port strikes started today on Tuesday, October 1st. They're causing big disruptions in key shipping routes on the East Coast, Gulf Coast. 45,000 dock workers represented by the ILA are striking due to unresolved labor negotiations with the U.S. Maritime Alliance. The primary issue resolves around the implementation of automation at ports, specifically the gate systems that the union believes threaten job security. Yeah, show them you don't need automation. Go ahead and go on strike. You know, cough, cough, cough. Again, East Coast Gulf Coast ports handling about half of the U.S. imports. The strike is expected to lead to big delays in port congestion. Ships will be stuck waiting for docks, creating backlogs. Could take weeks or months. It's going to impact supply chains globally. Companies dependent on imports and exports are going to see immediate impacts, most likely. Retailers, particularly those gearing up for big seasons and this holiday season, could face big shortages there, could pressure stock prices down. Tech companies that need components might struggle. Logistics and shipping sectors will be hit the hardest, though. Delays are directly going to affect their revenue, obviously, with shippers. Commodities might go up, I think, in some areas. Gulf Coast ports, specifically due to scarcity, you might see like steel go up. You might see precious metals go up. That, you know, whenever oil could go up as well. We don't know really, because shortages, scarcity. Businesses are going to most likely face higher shipping costs due to this as well. Yeah, but Sean, they do that in MMA as well. You get pay-per-view points in MMA for the big fighters at least. So I mean, it's pretty comparable. What's your expectation for the Robotaxi event? I don't know. The Robotaxi event is actually going on at night, which is interesting. It's a nighttime event. It's going on at like, let me see. I was worried about it. All right, so the Robotaxi event is going to be live streamed on October 10th at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I don't know. I genuinely think Tesla is a buy the rumor, sell the news thing with this, right? I think if you look at Tesla has gone up massively ahead of this report. We have 10 days before this report drops. So this is 2024. Tesla actually going green on the year in 2024 now, or at least it's close to it. Yeah, Tesla almost green. Let's see, it opened up the year here. So yeah, Tesla's technically green. It opened up the year right here at 250 basically. So right here is where Tesla opened up the year. It's now at 260s. So Tesla technically green on the year now in anticipation of this event. We have basically gone up since July for Tesla, all the way up to 260. Now, historically, Tesla behaves in a very specific way. And that is a buy the rumor, sell the news way, which means that generally Tesla will go up in anticipation of their big events and then correct after the event goes live. Now, why that happens, it's a pretty common thing, like buy the rumor, sell the news, but who freaking knows, man? Why it's going on, why it's happening, I don't really know. We'll see if it holds, I guess. Do you guys think Tesla holds ahead of this event? So we asked people, does today's job opening report cause bullish or bearish action? Most people were saying it causes bullish action. With zooming into the poll a little bit, 61% are bullish, 39% are bearish on the Jolts report. So again, we'll see what that means. We'll see if it helps everybody. The rumored shipping numbers for Tesla sound upbeat. Yeah, so tomorrow Tesla has delivery numbers. So delivery numbers drop for Tesla tomorrow at 9 a.m. We will stream the entire thing live, as we always do. We got 45 minutes before the Jolts report goes live as well. Listen, we probably dump on indexes on a big report. We buy the lows for all-time highs and non-farm payrolls on Friday. I don't know, man. I think something that I see a lot of the time with traders is that ahead of big reports, they always bet on some big market crash expectation, this big dump or this big fall. And I don't think that necessarily always happens. Maybe, I think payroll numbers last time came in good, and I think the market actually went up. Payroll numbers last time showed up at, I'm trying to see what they showed up at last time. Last time they showed up at 142. So last month, non-farm payrolls showed up 142,000 jobs. It was less than the 160,000 jobs that economists expected. So actually, payroll numbers came in lower than expected last time. And let's see, non-farm payrolls showed up last month. So last month. I believe they showed up at September 6th. If I remember correctly, September 6th. So I think it was September 6th. So if we look at the SPY as an example here. Right around here. Yeah, so here's non-farm payroll. So non-farm payrolls actually came in lower than expected. Here's 830 when they came out. We originally went up, but the first move was the wrong move, and we ended up correcting down here. The question is, does it happen again? Again, payroll numbers drop on Friday. Unemployment drops on Friday. What Powell said yesterday was kind of interesting, though. So if you listen to what Powell said yesterday, and I talked about this after the live stream, but Powell said yesterday specifically that he said unemployment has been consistently lower than their estimates, like what they thought would happen. Basically, than their estimates. Unemployment has been low. Now the question is he giving us a little clue about what unemployment shows up as this Friday? Because he basically said unemployment has shown less than expected. Now he said that at the beginning of the stream yesterday with the NAB, the National Association of Business Economics. And so the question is, was he giving us a little clue, a little foresight into what they might say this Friday for unemployment? Unemployment expected to show up again at 4.2%. That's what it was last time. That's what they're expecting this time. And so You know, I don't know. We'll see. Obviously, it's good if unemployment shows up low, but whether it's going to change from 4.2% is a different story. What do you guys think? Yeah, I mean, trading, I don't know, bro. Like I said, and again, I'm not saying this is you trading, IG trading. What I'm going to say is that, you know, something that I see a lot of the time from rookie traders, and I'm not saying this to you, okay? I'm not attacking you. Please don't take this as like a personal attack, because I'm not talking about you. I don't know how new or experienced you are. I appreciate the support. I really do. But something that I see from rookie traders a lot is that every major economic report, every FOMC meeting, every earnings report, every CPI report, every PCE report, every unemployment and payroll report, they act like we're going to have some monstrous correction. And I'm not saying we're not going to do that. We could have one on Friday. But generally speaking, that's not what we get. Like, usually the market's very balanced. It's efficient. We're not usually going to have these super crazy wild swings from these big economic reports, right? Like, that's just not something we generally see. And again, maybe this Friday is different. I'm not saying that's not true. That's certainly possible. It's certainly possible we get a big drop on Friday. I'm not saying it's probable, but it's definitely possible for that to happen. And you might be right this time. But because I've heard so many people predict these wild downfalls from economic reports that I hear every time, I take it with a grain of salt. I take it with a little bit more caution than anything. Because, again, I've heard so many people say, we're going to have some big downward correction. It's going to be massive. And then the market pushes up from it. You know, and so, again, anytime I hear somebody make these big predictions about big corrections, I usually just kind of tread lightly. Let me see. I'll ask AI, give me a transcript. Let's see if we can interpret it. This is where you say how good AI really is. Yeah, so they gave me basically I basically have to try to argue. I'm like, go to the site, find the transcript, and show it here. It's like, hey, I can't do the transcript. And I'm like, do it. Do it now. Nah, they basically refuse to do it. I thought you could be able to do it here. Let me see. Yeah. Okay, here's the transcript right here. I got it. Okay, so I actually have it. I'm trying to find that where he said, here, so here's the full transcript. I found it. Let me see if I can get AI to break it down. I'm gonna post the transcript AI, but I'm not happy about it. No, that's not what I'm saying. All right, so basically Powell said this. He said, quote, "The unemployment rate is well within the range of estimates of its natural rate. The moderation in job growth and the increase in labor supply have led the unemployment rate to increase to 4.2%, still low by historical standards." So maybe he didn't say that. Hey, here's the speech. Yeah, if you want the full, here's the speech if you want it. This is it right here. This is the full transcript script to yesterday's. He also did a lot of other comments, which might be what I was referencing. Again, I don't know if unemployment's going to be low. Do not copy me. Not an investment professional. I'm not liable if you lose. What do you think the rate will be next November? So we don't have another meeting until November. It happens every 6 weeks. So it's not going to be every month. It's going to be every other month, followed by month to month, and then every other month. But yeah, if we look at the CME watch tool as an example of this here, right? So here's the CME watch tool. Probabilities now are for a 25 basis point cut. So most people are expecting a 25 basis point cut in November. All right, so let me log this in. All right, guys, we got 6 minutes, really about 5 minutes left. The Jolts report drops. We also have, I think, a version of PMI data at 9:45, if I'm not wrong here. Yeah, so we had the Jolts report. We also have manufacturing PMI at 9:45, expected at 47. Not a huge release, but somewhat of a release. We'll see how that goes. So I gotta figure out how to. There we go. All right, cool. Yeah, sorry, I'm looking at my tax forms. Yeah, so I got a futures statement as well. Oh, I think I was looking at the wrong one. That's what I was doing. This was much shorter. All right, guys, we got 2 minutes. Let's say futures. Okay. All right, guys, here's the opening bell. Good luck, chat. One minute and 10 seconds left. Hey, thank you so much for becoming a member, Coffee. I appreciate the love. Thanks so much, brother. I appreciate it. Spy sitting neutrally. We got 30 minutes. What do you think the next race will be? I don't know. Open the casino. Yeah, here's the market open. We got less than a minute. But yeah, I appreciate becoming a member, bro. Definitely top 3 worst traders in the world right now. Definitely top 3 worst beginners. Hey, thank you, Tiny. Have a great day. Hope you're doing great. Hope you're doing good. How's your buddy you accidentally put to sleep? I wouldn't really call him my buddy. He's a good dude, you know. I don't really know him that well. He's pretty new to the gym. Yeah. You know how you get guys that come in and they might be like a blue belt or a purple belt, and then you roll against them and you're like, they don't really feel purple belt or blue belty. I had a guy yesterday, big tall guy, or last week, big tall guy. I rolled with him free in no-gi, right? Big tall dude. Like, this dude's big. This dude's probably like 6'4", right? Strong, much bigger than I am. He claimed to be a blue belt. And so if you're way bigger than me and you claim to be a blue belt, I'm not holding back against you. You know, I'm not gonna go light against you because you're supposed to be way better than me and you're way bigger. And so I'm gonna, you know, we're gonna spar. But then I remember I trained with him. There's the opening bell, and he just did not feel like a blue belt to me. And I don't want to be like that. When I turn into a blue belt, I'd rather people. I don't want people rolling against me and being like, he doesn't feel like a blue belt. You know. Anyways, Tesla at 264. Tesla spiked it up this morning at the opening bell. Look at it up to 264. Again, this is ahead of their delivery numbers tomorrow. Tesla making moves. I'm going to be day trading today, so we're going to be day trading. I got to activate my other funded account here. But we are going to be day trading live. We made a little bit of money yesterday. Let me see. Let me make sure. Okay, yeah. And we're up hundreds in this account, so that's nice. We'll try to keep at it. You should get promoted. I don't know, man. I don't know. My coach, I was trained under one coach. And then after about 8 or 9 months, he left the gym and went to a different gym that's kind of farther away. So I just stayed at my current gym. And now I got a new coach. And so that's probably why. But I'm only about a year in, too. So it's not like I've been around. I'm not even claiming to be great or anything. I think it's more so that just people lie about their experience sometimes. Or that maybe they train at like much smaller gyms that like need the business. And so they rank people up a lot faster or whatever it is, you know. All right, so now we're getting decreases here. SPY is turned all the way back around. Gold is still up there, and it's trying to push. I want to look at like NVIDIA because NVIDIA leads the whole market, and NVIDIA's ramping up. I'm going to buy this dip right now. I know it's pretty close to the opening bell. We got 2 contracts. I'm going to take half off here. We lost 15 bucks. I just don't want to lose too much. I'd rather be able to manage it. Yeah, we're going to have to cut it. So we just got in really early. 2 minutes after the bell and just got punished for it. So my fault. I'll wait. You know, I think we're ahead of the Jolts report, and so I think we might get like choppiness today. See, that's a big candle though. I usually like buying that up, but it's a little too late for it now. We'll buy it if it dips a little bit more. There it goes. All right, so we now bought in. Oh my goodness, man, what a drop. 2 contracts. All right, so we just made a little bit there, very small. This is a lot of volatility. I'm gonna wait. We're not down that much, but this is a lot of volatility. I have to wait now. Look at the SPY come all the way down. Again, I'm actually gonna wait this time. I don't care what the edge is. Like, I have to take my hands off here and not force it. I see myself being a little clicky here with buttons. Gold pushing up, oil pushing up. Yeah, Nvidia completely turned all the way back down. Gold is pumping up though. Maybe the port strikes are going to be negatively impacting the market. That's the only thing I can really guess here, is that the port strikes are negatively impacting things. Again, guys, we're getting pretty close to we're getting pretty close to 150,000, less than 3K away. Help us hit it. We get some more drops, we will buy this dip. I'm just gonna go ahead and buy it now. We're gonna add to our winning trade. I like the edge here, so I'm gonna stay in it, but yeah, I gotta cut it, man. So we got beat up a little bit. I like the big downward pressure, but man, everything's dropping so much. Yeah, we're gonna have to wait. I think I would have made money on it too, but I'm gonna wait until at least 9:40. You know, until at least 9:40 market time. I think that's what I have to. Yeah, I think we could have choppiness into Jolts though. It is the reason I've been trying to take these trades, but again, we'll see how it goes. Yeah, we bought this dip down here too, so it would have worked. Got a little emotional about it, I guess. SPY coming all the way back down. SPY looking pretty weak. Again, it's got to be the port strikes affecting everything here, I'm guessing. Right? That's what makes the most sense to me, is the port strikes. All right, so we are in sub-only mode. Appreciate it. All right, now we're finally back in it. Now we're up about $30. I've been adding to losing trades a lot, but I just took some more off. All right, so we just made about 25 bucks. That's good. We'll see how this goes. And again, we are on Top Step right now, guys. So if you haven't checked out Top Step X is the best edge in funding right now. They give you a demo. They test your skill with said demo. If you pass the test with said demo, they fund you the base amount of the demo account. The base one is 50K. If you pass it, you get 50K in funding with a 90% split. I'm going to buy one contract and let a longer term trade play out with one contract. If you pass that test, you get 50K in funding, 90% split in the futures market. There's no PDT rule. I can day trade short, buy market, sell market, very similar to day trading stocks. There's just no PDT restrictions in futures. And Top Step has the best edge in funding. Literally, once you're funded, there's zero commissions on Top Step X. It's the best edge in funding right now, in my opinion. They are an affiliate or sponsor of mine. They pay me money, but I think it's incredibly useful for traders. I think most day traders lose, and it's a lot cheaper to lose here than it is to put up the money yourself. And if you pass it, you still get 90% split. Oh, man, I looked the other way. All right, I have to cover this and just wait. This is so much red action this morning, guys. Wow. Spies had 1, 2, 3. Like, I love buying these dips, but man, like, eventually I'm gonna catch one. But there's so much red action here. I'm gonna have to see if we get a much larger green trade and add to it, but yeah, I have to cut it. I might just sit out for the rest of the day here. At least I'm going to try to trade like a different account. It's just gotten way too risky for me to keep trading. I'm probably down at least $100. Yeah, it just got really, really volatile really, really fast. And so, you know, it's all right. It's all good. It is what it is. We're going to have to go back to our challenge account here, which is pretty close to getting actually funded, which is nice. But yeah, I just can't keep chopping away. We also have about 5 minutes left until we get manufacturing PMI data today. So we have regular manufacturing PMI. It's expected at 47s. But man, what a big, massive drop here. Just deep red into the open. We're gonna try to trade our regular account now, but man. Yeah, I just got stopped out way too much, unfortunately, today. It is what it is. Like I said, it happens. Just so much red action, just destroying markets. Again, it's got to be the port strikes. Just kind of a wake up from the port strikes is what it's got to be. Yeah, gold's going crazy. So it's got to be something going on right now there too. For sure. So we're going to settle down a little bit. I see Nvidia starting to come back, which is good. You know, kind of needs to come back a little bit. Yeah, I see gold trying to fight back too. So again, we got 4 minutes left until PMI data drops. See if we get some stabilization. Again, Nvidia down to under 120. Let's see if 120 can hold. Yeah. Again, the Jolts report, again, guys, drops in about 20 minutes. A little bit less than 20. About 18 and a half minutes. Let's see if we get some stabilization in markets here. Again, we're kind of waiting. It's been kind of brutal red action. And every day I'm not going to be green. That's all good. It doesn't matter too much. But But the Jolts report, economic report's big. It's something you want to watch. Expected at 7.65, 7.7 million is what it's expected at today. Capper. Yeah, it's gotta, the port strikes have to have something to do with it, I guess. Again, I'm not 100% sure, but I would assume so. Yeah, if you try to plug nonsense, you're going to get banned here. The way you promote your own stuff is not by going to stream plugin in somebody else's community without asking. That's the way you get banned, burn bridges. That's not what you want to do, you know. The Jolts report's definitely highly watched. So let me see how close this one is to getting funded. So this account is currently, yeah. So we're close. We gotta just work it a little bit more. Again, we got less than a minute before the actual manufacturing PMI number comes out. The Jolts report, again, drops at 10. That's the biggest report. But we also have manufacturing, like a little bit smaller of a report, manufacturing PMI dropping in about 30 seconds. So just make sure you hit the live button next to the play button. We'll cover it as well. All right, so here's the report for manufacturing PMI data. Again, it's not the big manufacturing report. It's expected at 47. It's not the big one, but it's still relevant. All right, here we go. All right, it came in at 47.3, higher than expected manufacturing PMI, 47.3. See if the market can finally rebound some here. I might buy this dip. Oh, wait, we got micro contracts. I don't want micros. I want regulars. So we lost a little bit. I want the regular NASDAQ. So we're gonna buy this dip. See if we get a little pop up here. It's right after this report. It's ahead of the other report, the Jolts report that drops this morning. So we'll see if we can make a little bit. There's 75. See if we could retrace back up some. Here's what we want. I'm trying to be patient here and kind of wait this out. We're up a little bit. There we go. So we just made about $85. I'm just gonna kind of keep building it up. I want to buy a dip, and I think we've dropped so much that the market might start to rebound. So we're gonna buy the bottom of this little retracement here, and then maybe add to it. This is a challenge account, so this is not my actual funded account. Now we got funded on another account yesterday, and so we still got time. We still got time, but man, we do not want to see a low break here. We're still green on this account, but man, that's definitely not what we wanted. You got to take risks to get funded, I think. And again, we got to fund it on another one yesterday, so it's not the end of the world if we lose this one. But Still got 13 minutes. We might just kind of swing for the fences on this one. We got a cushion already, and so I think we can. Eesh. Dude, so much red action. Yeah, so I lost this one. Dude, we have so much red action today, man. Usually I can buy these dips, but, you know, it's all right. I got to activate the one we got funded on yesterday. You're going to have to lose some of these funded account programs to get funded. And so it's all good. But, man, that turned on me quick. Look how big these red candles are, man. Sheesh. It's got to be the port strikes. I know some people are speculating that it's overseas. But it's got to be the port strikes affecting the U.S. markets like this. Gold also just pumping up. Nvidia coming all the way back down too. This is a big drop. Now remember, the Jolts report might save us, or it could also exacerbate these problems. Yeah, I mean, listen, guys. It's easy to hindsight look at it. The reality is I got funded in an account yesterday. In order to get funded in these accounts, you're going to have to lose. Occasionally, you're going to have to lose one of the challenge accounts, which is what I just did. That wasn't an actual funded account. That was just one of the challenge accounts. And again, we got funded yesterday, and I think it's really easy to be critical in hindsight. But like, I think it made sense. Like the logic I was trying to use for that trade, and maybe it was wrong, right? Like it could certainly be wrong. The logic I was trying to use is this. It could have just been bad timing. Like we are down so much in anticipation of the Jolts report, like so much downward pressure ahead of this Jolts report that I think it's very logical to assume that we might get choppiness leading into the report and rebound back up. You know, now of course we ended up dropping so much in that account that we didn't end up taking it, but I think the logic made sense regardless of it. And I think that's the same logic I used to get funded in another one yesterday. And so if I can get funded in, you know, 1 out of every 2 challenge accounts, then I'm doing pretty good, I think, you know. I mean, it doesn't mean people who want to act like experts are not going to come out and be critical and be like, oh, you should have done this or you should have done that. Either way, like I said, maybe I misjudged this one. It's certainly possible. But again, it's really easy to do that in hindsight. And you guys just don't want to be the traders that do. Like, you know, it's easy to critique in hindsight, but really radical. I hope not. Oil just went bananas. Yeah, is oil going up or down on this move? I'm guessing up. If it's geopolitical uncertainty, oil's going to go up because of scarcity. Like the scarcity factor of it. And yeah, oil is spiking up to almost 70. Can the port strikes have negative effects on Q4 earnings reports for companies? It depends on when their Q4 was. Each company will calculate when their quarters are differently. It's not always the calendar quarter. It can be a different quarter. So it depends on when their Q4 quarter is, to be honest. Hindsight's really not fair. Yeah, you know how it goes. Like, okay, look. I got funded on an account yesterday, you know, and we've been green on the other one basically since we started, you know. And so I think it's really easy to wait until I get one wrong and then attack that. But again, generally speaking, it doesn't matter. Like one of the things that you'll see from new traders a lot is that new traders are the loudest sometimes and the most critical, right? They'll be say, oh, you're doing this wrong. You should do this like me, or you should do this like me. That's usually the newer traders. You know, experienced traders usually understand, like, you can't paint everything with a broad brush. Every trader's different. Every trader trades differently for sure. And listen, I'm definitely one of the top 3 worst traders ever of all time. I'm sure the chat would probably agree with me today on that one. So it's all love. It's all good. It doesn't matter too much. Yeah, the stuff overseas, geopolitical risk, that's going to cause oil to spike for sure. And we got 9 minutes, guys, 9 minutes. Market's still fearing inflation. I think the market's fearing economic weakness more right now. But who knows, man? You don't know how the market's going to respond to any of this stuff. All right, we got 7 minutes left. The market is still falling. It's one of the reasons I basically stopped trading for the day. I could trade in my 50K funded account. I got to activate my other one we got funded in yesterday. But again, one of the reasons I haven't been trading a ton is because of this specific thing. Yeah, but Ed, on a shorter term basis, right? Oil will spike if uncertainty happens, like geographical, or geographically. If uncertainty is there, like conflicts arise, oil spikes. That's typically very, very common reaction for oil. The reason it's common is because when conflicts arise, especially overseas, oil becomes more scarce. It becomes more expensive. And so the price per oil, like if you look at /CL for oil futures, will rise in periods of geopolitical uncertainty, right? That's very common, you know. Now, maybe we have larger implications for inflation or whatever it is, but if basically people are saying there's conflicts and like news is there, and that's probably why oil is spiking. It could also be spiking specifically from the port strikes, right? As anything that might make oil or commodities more scarce might actually make them spike instead of go down, right? So something that might make steel more scarce might make steel go down, or might make the price of steel go up. Anything that might make oil more scarce, i.e. geopolitical conflicts, might make the price of oil go up, you know. So, I mean, I think you have the opposite way to look at it, Ed. You're looking at it the opposite of how you should be. There's 1 or 2 wars going right now, and we still see it flagging. Right, you see it going up because of geopolitical uncertainty. This is one of the most common economic correlations, right? Is oil going up as geopolitical tensions rise, you know, very common. Apple, we had some news that dropped on Apple this morning. I'll show it right here. So Apple had some news that said that iPhone 16 production is going to decrease, is basically what they said. So iPhone 16 production is going down. Oh, can y'all not hear the music? Oh, you can hear it. Okay, good. Right? All right. So Jolts, 7.64 million. It's expected. Yeah, so attacks overseas is the news that I hear. I'm not going to go too deep into it, but that's what I see going on right now. All right, guys, we got 4 minutes left. A little bit less than that, 3.5 minutes to be exact, actually. All right, so we did finally get a little bounce. We got 2.5 minutes. Super Micro actually coming back up. The SPY finally finding some legs here. All right, so here we go, guys. We got 2 minutes left. We got over 1,000 people watching. I appreciate the love, y'all. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. I definitely appreciate it. Thanks so much. All right, here we go. Here's the Jolts report. You guys think up or down, guys? We got 2 minutes left. Do you guys think it comes in higher or lower? Better or worse? Hot or cold? Let me know in chat right now. List it. All right, guys, we got 1 minute. Market's still bouncing back a little bit into this. Oil, spike it up. SPY, spike it up. They're not spiking up. SPY bouncing small amount after big red action today. All right, guys, here we go. 30 seconds. All right, here we go. We got 10 seconds left, chat. 10 seconds. Again, Jolts expected at 7.64 million, 7.7 million, roughly. Here we go. And the report goes live. The timer's a little bit early. We're going to exit out of here. Let's watch the market reaction. And there's the report. Jolts came in. ISM manufacturing came in lower than expected, guys. Lower than expected universally. Jolts report came in higher than expected. 8.04 million versus 7.65 million, 7.7 million expected. Over 8 million job openings for the Jolts report. Over 8 million. The NASDAQ hasn't really moved as well as the SPY hasn't really moved, but it's starting to gain some steam here. Again, over 8 million job openings today for markets. Market is starting to rebound a little bit today on this report. Part of me wants to buy this dip. I'm going to wait. But again, 8.04 million job opening report here. So better than expected. 8.04 versus 7.7 million expected. ISM PMI came in at 47.2, lower than expected. So weaker manufacturing numbers, but stronger job opening and economic reports. Here is what this was. So again, I'll put this number up on screen. Again, Jolts report showed better than expected, higher than expected numbers here for the Jolts report. 8.04 million. ISM PMI came in lower at 47.2%. Here's the Jolts numbers. I don't know if I want to buy this dip or not. What do you guys think? All right, guys. Again, Jolts numbers showed up better than expected, higher than expected. Let's see if we continue. Yeah, I'm not doing anything yet. I'm just waiting. MU is cheaper. Bond market seeing some serious buying. Yeah, again, Ed, like I said, brother, it's all good here. I hope you understand. Like, I'm just trying to help with the oil correlation because it really is one of the more obvious correlations in oil, specifically that when tensions rise overseas, oil spikes, right? Why does it spike? Because supply and demand, it's more scarce. There's more demand and less availability for it. And so because of that, oil tends to spike on geopolitical conflict news. Happens almost every single time we get big conflict news. And a lot of traders piggyback off of that completely where they buy oil ahead of geopolitical conflicts. It's also one of the ways people who know about these things beforehand you know, make money. I'm not telling you to do that, but that's how a lot of them make money. I certainly don't do that, but yeah. What happened at market open today? I think the port strike news is affecting everything. I think that's one of the first things, is like the port strike news is influencing things. I'm going to take maybe a couple trades here. Based off of that, I'm going to buy one contract, very small. Oil still breaking highs. Look at it up there. And again, if you haven't already checked out Top Step funds traders, they give you a demo. They test your skill with it. One of the biggest edges is that there's no commission on Top Step X. So I can day trade tiny trades, $14, $24, $20, $8, $3, $4, no commissions. And so I can get funded and then trade small. And that's a huge edge. Biggest edge in funded accounts, in my opinion, is that you can get funded, scale down to micro contracts. In the futures market, if you trade regular contracts, you can lose thousands very quickly. With micro contracts, you can just limit your risk. It's smaller size, and it allows you to build up like more volume of trades with smaller size and have a better edge, in my opinion. It's really one of the best edges in funding. Top Step is one of the most legit in the world. They give you a demo, test your skill with it. If you pass the test, they fund you. If you don't, you only lose the monthly subscription. The base one's only $49. If you pass it, you get $50K in funding, 90% split. In the futures market, you can day trade the S&P, the NASDAQ, some currencies, gold. Patterns are very similar to blue chip stocks, and most pro day traders trade futures. And so if you want to check it out and try the futures market out for $49, it's a great challenge for day traders. You can check out the link right here. All right, so we're up about $30. We're going to go ahead and take that position off. We just made about $30. We'll take it. The data's already out. Again, it dropped right here. You can read it right there. You can read it right there. Yeah, I don't know when the strike's gonna end. I really don't know. All right, guys, so we are down a little bit. We made a couple bucks. We're still kind of sitting here waiting. All right. All right, so we're back down a little. I'm going to buy this dip again. Who knows what's going to happen here. I don't want to add to it here, so I just want to let it work and see if we bounce, but all right, the last one again, we made about $30. We're down about $5 on this one now. We're right at the lows, which is the bottom of the range, but I don't want to get stuck in like a big low break either from momentum. We're about flat on the last 2 trades here. Just wondering how much this one will bounce back up if it does start to bounce. Catch back up with the chat. Yeah, job gains were up. Again, they're right below me. They came in at 8.04 million. Again, we're trading small here. I'm just not trying to give up too much. We waited for the Jolts report to go live. I think the extension's definitely on the downside, but I also think like there's risks. Yeah, we're gonna cut that. I thought we cut it. Wait, so we just got a little bit of lag. Now I'm short. I didn't want to short. I tried to get out right there. We're lagging a little bit here. I didn't really want to short, but it's all right. I guess we'll accidentally make $10 back. That's cool, I guess. Definitely not in my mode today, not doing well, so I'm just not going to push too hard, and that's all right. What else we got? Yeah, 1 micro is probably the way right now. I've been trying to limit my size. I think in hindsight, I probably should be trading with the trend today versus trying to catch the bottom of the trend. I assumed we were going to get choppiness leading into the Jolts report, and we just didn't. I think the conflict news overseas caused like big volatility that I got stuck in. Tesla all the way back down to 250s today. So it's honestly a really red day in the market. Yeah, oil's been spiking up. Yeah, you can kind of see everything run. Look at oil up there. That's just such a big move. I'm assuming we're going to start to bounce back eventually here, but man, we'll see. The market just keeps on flushing down. Yeah. Question is, do we start to bounce back for the rest of the day? Yesterday we dropped a lot and then came all the way back up, and now we're starting to drop a lot again. So the question is, like, do we bounce back? Like, how long does that take? What does that look like? Definitely getting a lot of red pressure here, like a lot of red action. I see Tesla back up. It's at 253. So if we take a look at it, there's Tesla. Tesla cracked down. I think we also have to look at like Nvidia. I think Nvidia kind of leads the market in a lot of ways, and this is something that's been just dumping down big. Cracking lows, like dragging everything else down with it, basically, is what's been going on today. Nvidia all the way under 118s. I don't know if it's related to conflicts or what, but Nvidia has just been falling like really quickly. We did get a nice little rebound back up in markets. Let's see if that holds. So there's a rebound in Tesla, Nvidia. Why did oil spike? Geopolitical uncertainty, like conflicts, is what happened. Like conflicts overseas causes oil scarcity to rise, is what happens. Like that's basically what went down. Stop buying, John. The daily Q is on a reversal of trend. Yeah, I mean, maybe. But again, you got to think about it. Like, we're trading off a very short-term time frame, day trading. Plan is to hold only a couple, like, minutes tops. And so looking at the daily chart on the Q is not really the best. I'm not even saying you're wrong. I'm just saying looking at the daily chart on the Q is not really the best gauge of short-term price action. Now, maybe longer-term price action. The time frame you're looking at should reflect the time you're holding your trades. If you're holding your trades a long time, like days, weeks, months, years, you should look at longer-term charts. If you're holding trades short-term, you should look at short-term charts. And so with the way I'm trading, I usually look at like 5-minute, 1-minute charts, maybe 15-minute, depending on like what's going on. But I definitely don't look at day trade like daily charts. I'm not saying they're never useful to look at, but if I'm holding something for 30 seconds, 45 seconds, you know, I'm not saying it's completely insignificant, but it's not, you know. And again, something else you guys got to understand about running the stream is that, like, look, man, I hear from everybody different things, right? So sometimes the chat, I experience moments where the chat will be like, John, if I'm shorting here, let's just say I was shorting right here, right? Let's say I was shorting right there, and say somebody in chat yells, John, stop shorting, you should buy. And then I watch it fall down. You know, that is a very common occurrence where you hear somebody really pressuring, and then they're just wildly wrong, and then they pretend they never said it. And so one thing I've learned to do is just kind of tune out of the chat, you know, because again, anybody looking at it objectively, like, y'all should understand, nobody freaking knows, right? You might tell me to stop buying, and then we might bounce back 15%, you know, 15% of the move down. You know what I mean, is what I meant. And so in the end, nobody freaking knows, man. Like, we can all speculate. There might be some edges in terms of like probabilities, like what's probable to happen. But nobody knows what the market's going to do. Nobody knows if it's going to go up, down, or sideways. We can only use our edge that we have. And again, most of the time, what good traders do is they just kind of tune everybody else out. So, I mean, y'all can yell for me to do something, but it doesn't really matter too much. Do I hear a Philly accent? No, what you probably hear, like, I'm from South Louisiana. I'm from about 45 minutes away from New Orleans. And so what you probably hear is like a variation of that accent coming out. I don't really have like a super, I don't really have a super Southern accent. It's hard to explain. Like if you've ever heard anybody from New Orleans speak, it's kind of a city accent. It's not really like a little bit of Creole in there for sure, but it's hard to explain, right? People in Louisiana have different accents. I'm from Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and so if you hear you might hear a little bit of Cajun coming out, but my accent used to be much more pronounced, but running this stream for so long kind of dilutes it a little bit. I think it makes it go away. So don't take investment tips from randoms in chat. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, with that said, we are dropping down. So again, the chat might be right, you know, but that's definitely not always the case. And so, you know, like, y'all can say it and I'll listen to a certain extent, but don't get mad if I don't follow you, you know. The momentum's definitely been kind of bloody lately too, man. It's been red. We've actually got a little good string in our funded account. I started trading off stream, as everybody should if they get frustrated. Again, I'm not one to hide that I trade off stream, but we got a good little string of trades here, you know. Like, look, not bad. Like, those are my trades. So just everybody at home, these are my last 20 trades or so. We've had 3 or 4 losses out of the last 20 trades. That's 80% accuracy. You know, most of these are long too, they're not short. And so we've just been kind of calling these bottoms well, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Yeah, for sure. Oh yeah, vocal days. Again, I could win money. Like I made a joke. Let's say this is my profit graph, right? Green day, green day, green day, green day, red day, right? Here, they'll say, you suck. You're doing everything wrong. What are you doing? This is actually probably not the best, most accurate. It might look like this. Right? Here, you better believe they're saying, John, you suck. You're horrible. What are you doing? You're trading wrong. You should have gone long there, not short. You know? Thus is the life on YouTube. And it's okay. I could poke fun at it. It's all good. I get it. Honestly, I feel like most of it is good-natured too. Like, I feel like most people are just genuinely trying to help. And they see me doing something wrong and they want to fix it. You know? And so I understand. I think most of it is actually good-natured. So it's all good. I get it. That's basically all the big news today, at least. Yeah, for sure. The trend's definitely your friend today. I definitely should have been trading the trend more. I'd have done much better. 100% agree. We also have some Fed members speaking today. We got like Bostic, Michelle Cook speaking. That's basically it. Tomorrow, Tesla deliveries. Big day. Right, most people are good in nature. I agree. You got some people that aren't. We're dropping because of geopolitical uncertainty. The port strikes that are happening. There's a bunch of people striking right now, refusing to, unions are causing strikes, port strikes, geopolitical uncertainty, and probably a little bit of extension is why we're going down. Yeah, most people are good. You find people that are just not. I think most people... like, it's something I always tell my kids. You know, I tell them, like, look, man, it might feel good to be mean to other people, but that's a reflection of how you're feeling inside, you know? And so, John's therapy here for you today. So, it might feel good to be mean to people. As I say every freaking day here, I genuinely think you get what you put out there. I think if you're good to people and you try to do well and you try to be good and you try to be kind, you're going to get that back tenfold. I think if you try to harass people, if you try to drag people down, if you're insecure and use that to be toxic and mean and just cruel and insulting and harassing and you wish others to not do well, I think you get that back, you know? And so, I don't know, maybe that means we're in a freaking simulation, you know? Maybe it has other implications. I don't freaking know. But with that said, I genuinely try to be good. I try to be a good person, you know? But I think there's also some people that don't have the ability to be like that. I think like if you're narcissistic, and the word narcissist is thrown around a lot these days, but I think some of them don't have they don't have a chance to be empathetic towards others. They just can't. They can't help it. You know, those are the ones that are really bad. Yeah, Jolts data is right here at the bottom. So we did finally get a bounce back. That's Tesla. You get what you get. Yeah. Data's already out today. Dude, does anyone know when this data is actually released? AL, bro. Hit the live button next to the play button, brother. Again, read right here. Like right there. You see US Jolts. Oh, wait. U.S. Jolts job openings right there. 8.04 million, brother. It came out already. It's out. Maybe you're late on the stream. Johnny Be Good. We watched Back to the Future yesterday, actually. Again, with that said, there's the SPY bounce back that we were trying to take advantage of all day. Tesla volume slowing down. Yeah, 252 seems to be a support level. He won't hear that? Oh, no, he's with it now. Yeah, what's up, man? All right, guys. Bond's still here. James Bond. All right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and close it down. Again, if you want to day trade with me, try Top Step X out. Once you're funded, it's the biggest edge, the best rules. You can trade micro contracts, trade small, have 0 commissions, only 74 cents in fees per trade. It's one of the most legit ones. Check it out if you want to help support the channel. Link is in the description. I love you all. Y'all have a great day. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Tomorrow, Tesla delivery numbers. We got Tesla deliveries. We've got prelim payroll numbers called the non-farm employment change data, dropping at 8:15 early tomorrow morning. Early tomorrow morning at 8:15. Tesla deliveries at 9 a.m. A big day. We'll see what happens. Thursday, we got some stuff. Friday, we got payroll numbers. It's a big week, big report. Y'all be good. I love you all. Y'all have a great day. I'll see you guys later. Remember, guys, also, just to clarify, top 3 worst trader of all time. Don't copy me. I'm not an investment professional. I'm not liable if you lose. I do trade off stream. You're certainly not going to see all my trades. One of the top 3 worst ever traders in the world right now. Hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell. I appreciate the love. Thanks so much. Y'all have a great day.